Thanks for watching SLCtv, Salt Lake City's government access channel. I'm your host, Poonam Kumar. During the month of February, Salt Lake City participates in the Clear the Air Challenge to help reduce emissions and clear the air. You can help too by skipping a trip, walking, biking, using alternate modes of transportation. Please join the challenge today and visit cleartheairchallenge.org to learn more. For this week's episode of Capital City News, we hear from Vicki Bennett, the city's sustainability director, about how the city is addressing climate change and our work towards helping clear the air. And our History Minute is about the mythical world of Kryn and the Dragonlance. Let's get started with our legislative update and look back.
At its February 5th meeting, the City Council discussed an interlocal agreement with the Utah Transit Authority to expand bus service and will likely take action on that item at their February 19th meeting. They also discussed items from the state legislature that might affect the city and approved several board appointments. Cold car interiors are uncomfortable and frosted windshields are a safety hazard, but leaving your car running unattended to warm up and defrost is an open invitation to auto theft. Last year, 135 vehicles were stolen because owners left their vehicles running and idling. Keep your car and property safe while clearing the air by staying idle-free. For more safety tips, visit SLCpd.com. Snow replenishes our water supplies and provides many recreational opportunities. But remember, Salt Lake City requires property owners to remove snow and ice from their sidewalks within 24 hours after a snowstorm. Also, don't forget to park off-street so that the city's snowplows can get through safely. Learn more by visiting the website on the screen.
With global temperatures on the rise, Utah is feeling the effects of climate change. Especially during the winter months, not only can we see it, but we feel the effects. On this week's episode of Capital City News, we hear from Salt Lake City Sustainability Director Vicki Bennett about how the city is working to address climate change and poor air quality.
Salt Lake City has put together this Climate Positive, which is one of our premier projects and the thing that we are most proud of. The whole idea behind it is what can we do to reach our goals to reduce our carbon emissions and do our part to ensure that we're trying to stop climate change to at least as much as possible. So we have a few major goals. First one is that we're going to have 50% of all the city's energy from the electricity from renewables by 2020. And we're working with Rocky Mountain Power right now, putting out an RFP so people can offer us the renewables. And it's going to be a great project. It's a consortium, includes some other cities also, and universities and a couple ski areas. Second thing we're doing is longer term. We're finding a legislative fix so that Rocky Mountain Power can provide renewable energy for all of Salt Lake City, and we can actually purchase that on behalf of our residents. And then the last thing is we have an 80% overall reduction of all carbon emissions. And that's the hard one, because now we're starting to look at fossil fuels, both in your cars and also in your heating, because natural gas is a direct emitter of carbon as people burn in their businesses and homes. Cars aren't going to, there is a way to solve the vehicles because of electric cars, and there's a lot of new options coming out. You see people working on hydrogen vehicles and some things that are, a few years ago we'd say this was science fiction, but it's actually now happening. Cities around the nation are all stepping up. We've said that we may not have federal leadership, but cities can get this done. So Salt Lake City was the 16th in the nation to set these aggressive climate goals, and now there are over 200. And these are anything from New York City and your really big metropolis down to a lot of smaller cities. We really believe that if we can make this work in larger cities, then we can influence the states we're in, which I think is happening. And we even see that here in Utah, that now even our state legislature is beginning to accept the science behind climate change and understanding that we're going to have to take some really aggressive action to try and minimize it. And then eventually, that we hope the pressure will get to the federal level so we can take some nationwide action to help reduce the risks of what we're already seeing today. Climate change and air quality go together, hand in hand fairly much. And we know that the people who are most harmed by bad air are people who are usually in the lower income neighborhoods. We really want to work with them to help them with energy efficiency. Can we help them make their homes more energy efficient so they save money and aren't needing to use as much natural gas? What can we, we're working with them to ensure that they aren't affected by climate. And climate change is going to be something where everything that happens is really going to cost people in one way or another, be it damage to a home or if they're finding that they need more air conditioning. And so the lower income neighborhoods or people who aren't as affluent are going to be affected in a greater way. So to learn more about our Climate Positive 2040 goals and clearing the air, go to www.slcgreen.com.
Next up is our History Minute.
For over 40 years, Dungeons & Dragons has provided millions with the escapist pleasure that only a role-playing game can provide. But for the first years of the game, it was very heavy on dungeons and much lighter on dragons. In fact, few, if any, of the adventures gamers could play through featured the fantastical creatures at all. That all changed in 1982 when a young Salt Lake City couple came up with Dragonlance. Tracy Hickman, born in Salt Lake City and still living nearby, was down on his luck and desperate when he took a job across the country to work for TSR, the company that owned Dungeons & Dragons. Unable to even buy shoes for their children, Tracy and his wife Laura drove across the country to begin work on adventures for the game. On their drive, they created everything they'd need to establish Dragonlance in the world of Kryn, a magical place where dragons were the fearsome villains they were always meant to be in Dungeons & Dragons. When the Hickmans got to TSR, they pitched their system under the codename Project Overlord and slowly convinced the artists and staffers at the company that it was a smart move. In 1984, the first modules and novels were released and quickly became bestsellers. Over the next 30-plus years, Dragonlance would be one of the most popular worlds to play in for fans of Dungeons & Dragons, and it spawned hundreds and hundreds of books, supplements, miniatures, video games, and even animated movies. And it all started right here in the minds of a pair of Salt Lake City natives.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Capital City News. During the month of February, Salt Lake City is participating in the Clear the Air Challenge, and you can too. We hope you join us by visiting cleartheairchallenge.org and help be part of the solution. For SLCtv, I'm Poonam Kumar.